Our today's lesson is about classification of plants. Our objectives will be to describe the general characteristics of ferns and flowering plants and to understand the concept of the construction of classification keys. Classification of plants. Botanists are the scientists. They group plants into two major categories: non-vascular plants and the vascular plants. The non-vascular plants are those which didn't contain xylem and phloem, are the vascular bundles, and the vascular plants are those which contain vascular bundles in their bodies like xylem and phloem for the conduction of water and nutrients. However, this kind of grouping seems to be very general and covers a wide variety of scope. The more commonly used plant classification is the more specific one, by classifying them into different phylas. Here are the four major phyla of the plant kingdom, which are mosses and liverworts, ferns, gymnosperms are the conifers, angiosperms are the flowering plants. Ferns. Botanically, they belong to the division of non-flowering plants known as pteridophyta. Ferns, they belong to the group of plants which do not bear any flowers, but they do have vascular bundles. So that group is known as pteridophyta. With more than 10,000 known species of modern ferns, these plants display tremendous diversity in size and forms. They may be small or they may be large. Even so, some general structural and reproductive characteristics distinguish ferns from all other plants. For example, let's study their characteristics. Ferns are seedless vascular plants of humid, tropic, and temperate areas. They constitute the largest living group of primitive vascular plants with over 10,000 species. Due to their characteristics and due to their non-flowering behavior and by having their vascular bundles, they are considered as the most primitive plants. The plant body is a sporophyte. By producing spores, it is differentiated into true stem, leaves, and roots. The stem is underground. Rhizome is in most of the ferns. Sporangia occurs on the leaves in clusters called as sori, singular the sorus. The fertile leaves are known as sporophylls. Leaves are large and are called as fronds. So these are some structures of ferns, like they bear some stem-like structure called as the rhizome, which is underground and which also bear roots for the absorption of nutrients and water from the soil. And they have vascular bundles to circulate or to conduct water from roots till the leaves. Their leaves are called as fronds. They have small leaves which are called as fronds, and on these fronds there are clusters of sori which contain spores, and those sac-like structures which contain spores, which are the reproductive body here, are called as sporangia. This is the stem of the rhizome of the fern called rhizome. Here is the leafy fronds, and these are the spores or sporangia which bears on the leaves or on the fronds of the ferns plant. Flowering plants. Flowering plants are also called as angiosperm, and they are very diverse in nature. Like they can grow in every type of habitats. They can grow as trees, shrubs, bushes, herbs, and small flowering plants. Some of the characteristics of angiosperms are as follows. All angiosperms have flowers at some stage in their life. The flowers serve as the reproductive organ for the plant. Like the plants can be divided into two parts. One is the reproductive part and one is the vegetative part. So other than the flower, the rest of the body of the plant is called as vegetative part of the plant or vegetative body, and the flower is considered as the reproductive body because it contains the male and female gametes for the plant. The male gametes are called as the pollen grains, which are small in size. and the female gametes are known as ovule or the carpel. So ovules lie or ovum, egg lies in the ovule, which is the female part of the flower, and the pollen grains, they lie in the they are collectively called as stamen, and they lie in the anther of the plant, of the flower. Angiosperms have carpels that encloses developing seed that may turn into a fruit. A great advantage for angiosperm is the production of the endosperm. Endosperm is produced during fertilization. Like when double fertilization occurs in these flowering plants, endosperm is formed, and that endosperm then serves as a nutritious body for the seeds, for during germination. Like this endosperm, it provides nutrition to the seeds during germination. Flowering plants bear one or several seeds enclosed in fruits. You can cut different variety of seeds and you will find a number of seeds in them. Like for example, in lemon, there are apples, and there are oranges, mango. All these types of fruits are there. When you cut them, you will find variety of seeds, a number of seeds in them. Some may bear one, some may bear many in number. The seeds are the highest degree of perfection of the vascular systems, with true vessels in the xylem and companion cells in the phloem. Like xylem and phloem, along with the other cells, other tissues which are known as companion cells in the phloem, and vessels in the xylem, they are modified to conduct water from lower parts to the upper parts, and nutrients from the upper parts, like from the leaves to the roots. The phenomena of double fertilization or triple fusion is the characteristic of the angiosperm. Double fertilization is like there are two nuclei in a pollen grain. The first nuclei, it fuses with the wall or with the egg, and the second nuclei, it fuses with the central bipolar nucleus. So that bipolar nucleus is then converted into triploid nucleus and form endosperm, and the first one, which is fertilized with the egg cell, it form the seed. Cotyledons. Cotyledons are the structures which are present on in the bodies of these flowering plants, in the seeds of these flowering plants. So there are two divisions in flowering plants. One are the monocots and the second one is the dicots. Monocots are those plants which contain single cotyledon. Cotyledon is again a nutritious body which provide nutrition in germination, after germination to the plantlets, to the newly formed plants. And dicots are those plants which contain two cotyledons. So monocots and dicots are the two divisions of flowering plants. Classification keys. A key is a set of questions about the characteristics of living things. Like when you don't know an animal or a plant or any other organisms, and you want to find it out that to which group it belongs, you can construct a classification key for that organisms, in which you will ask a set of questions, and by answering with yes or no, you can move forward to the next question, or you can find your answer within that question. A classification key is a series of questions about the organism's physical characteristics, the way they look like. The answers will either branch off to another questions or will identify your unknown organism in that question. Here is an example of a classification key for an organism, centipede. In this classification key, they asked so many questions, and by answering yes or no, you can move forward. Or if that organism, like if the question is the answer to the question is yes, then that will be your organism. If not, then move to the next question. You will find your answer at the end. Here is an example of a classification key, of a simple classification key. Thank you.